Hi, Richard here. Today we're going to do a quick tutorial around using UI Builder. So this is the first episode in hopefully many, so we're going to get started. So we've got my notes application here. It's got a table that's going to store our note. Very simple, just literally got a note field on it. We just go into that. I've already added a record into here already, and as you can see we've got our form layout. It says my first note. I've created some different forms because in this tutorial we're actually going to look at how we can change the form view using one of the standard controls in the system. So I've got Note View 2 and the Workspace Note Form View. I've created a workspace already, so I've done that prior to loading up this application. Yeah, it's got the standard stuff that comes with Workspace Builder, but what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at UI Builder. So let's go into UI Builder and let's take a look. So we're in UI Builder now. Over on the left hand side we have our pages. So using Workspace Builder we get a number of default pages created for us. So to keep this video nice and short, we're going to go straight into what we're going to do. So if I go into the record section, I've got my note record, my note page. Now these are page variants, so we'll go through a little bit more of that later on, but what we're going to be looking at today is how we can modify this standard view. Now what you're seeing here is a blank page. What we're going to do is we're actually going to put in our table and a sysID for our notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our table. It says we can't remember the table name. We're going to grab that table name there, and we're going to go back into UI Builder. We're going to paste this in, and it's going to pick up the first record for me, which is fine. If I want to change that, I can do. I go into there and then click and find the one I want. So we're going to hit apply. So what it's now showing me is my record that we played with. Now over on the left we have our various different elements that make up the page, and you can see they're in sections. We have containers. Those containers have properties, which we see over on the right, and all the controls have properties. You can play around with the layouts of those using Flex or Grid. If you want to learn more about Flex, please have a look and go to the link that says Learn About Flex. We will use Flex for the majority of the workspaces that we use, but we'll come on to that much later on. We can go into the configuration. You'll see lots of information here. We're not going to go into that today, but what we're going to look at here is really this main form control we've got here. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this view, but we're going to do that using the form controller. So you have the form control, if you will, on the page, but then we also have the data source that controls that form. Now we can navigate to that over on the left hand side. So you'll see down the left hand side here we have data, client state parameters, and client scripts. So if I click on data, you will see two have been created. Agent assist, we're not going to worry about that for now, but we've got our form controller. Now the form controller data source you see here controls that form, so it handles all the interaction backwards and forwards within the application. But what we're going to do today is we're going to change the view. Now you'll see here it's been bound to a data parameter. We can see that here. But what we're going to do is we're going to change that to be something we specify. And we're then going to change that again to use a client state parameter. So if I go back to my data table and I look at my forms, you will see I've got a form called Note View 2. We're going to change it to be this particular view. So I've changed the layout so you can see it happening. So it's called Note View 2. So we're going to come to the view. We can click the pencil because we want a static value. So we're going to put in Note _ View _ 2. And if I click away, you will now see, let's close that for a second. You will see that now that view is being used by that controller because I've specified that as part of that data element. But I want to take this one step further. Rather than it being static, I want to use this client state. They're called parameters, I call them variables. So to do that, we're going to go to client state and we're going to create a new parameter, and we're going to call it form view. It's a string. Now as you see we've got a number of different ones, but we're going to stick with string for now. And this is, what was it called again? It was called note view 2. So note view 2. So that's now committed. You can see that over on the right hand side here. So if we go back to data, we can go back to our element that we've got here. We click bind. Now if we do this, we can say state, oh no, helps if I can type, state dot form view. Now what that means is it's going to pick up the value that's held in that client state parameter. Now if we change the value in there at any point, then this form will change as well. So if we come back to our client state and let's take that out altogether and hit save, we'll notice, look, the form has changed. It's gone back to the default. So we're going to put our one back in and we hit save. We close this down. What we can do is we can now open the path URL and we can see this particular record being shown. And as you can see, it is now changed, which is all great. So that's really it for this tutorial. We haven't done much. We've literally created an app, we're opened up UI Builder, we've got used to the layout of UI Builder, but what we're going to do in the next episode is we're going to take this a step further. We're going to put either a drop down, some buttons on the form, so that we can change that layout dynamically for us as we go within that form. So we're going to show how we can bind the data together on that form. So hopefully that's been useful. Please come back for the next episode where we will start looking at more of the items that we can do in UI Builder in these really short kind of tutorials. Thanks very much, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.